This is a story of adventure, power, simplicity, and heritage. A story of rebirth and second chances. But let's start at the beginning.
To some people, a motorcycle is work, or a way to get to work, or a way to get away from it all to the solitude of the open country. A motorcycle is whatever you want to make it. Turn it on, you can give yourself a real thrill.
So I want to buy an adventure motorcycle. To tour with it, long distances, comfy. To do it in style. To ride it hard, off and on road. To go camping or even hunting with all my gear. To enjoy the essence of adventure motorcycling. But bikes these days, They are either too big and heavy to make any sense off-road,
What the f even is this?
or too light, almost toy-like. Or too plasticky.
Sneeuwlasten met boopdiehoogtewagens.
I could, of course, go with a proper enduro bike, but I like to ride to the forest myself, not with a trailer. And then there are the electronics. It almost feels like you need a degree in IT to operate one. Sure, gadgets are cool, but I'm not buying a spaceship. I don't want to be pushing buttons and looking at screens all day while on a motorcycle. I do that already at work. Bikes have gotten so advanced that you need rider aids. Are we over-regulating, or we have just become such a bad riders who need babysitting? Or so lazy that we need an automatic gearbox on a bike?
Automaat.
Not to mention that all these features come with a hefty price tag. China might be the rising star in the scene, but my trust is not there yet. Harleys? I'm not that old. I might be a man entering my midlife crisis, but I don't want to look like one. Just not yet. We have come a long way since the invention of the motorcycle. Our grandfathers with much less sophisticated bikes did crazy things. Raced them. Jumped them. They made the best of what they had. But they were also kinda slow, uncomfortable, and notoriously unreliable. Let's leave that to the history books. I want to enjoy the ride. But where is the boundary between old and new? Between surviving and thriving? Where will I find the analog vibe, but won't feel out of place in the world of modern adventure bikes? I think I know. Just the bike and just the man.
We did start planning our lifetime expedition in early 2005, and the plan was to take a bike and ride from Riga to Australia. My father, he was several times Soviet Union champion. He was taking part in a Grand Prix in World Championships in those years, at 60s. And definitely my way was chosen early before I arrived. And I started my motocross career in 1983. And there I spent more than 20 years. got a good results in Latvian championships and a Grand Prix too. And I would say that the motorcycle, that smell of the fuel, the taste of the ground is really deep in the blood. And nowadays expeditions, nowadays all different kind of riding schools and the family stuff and the traveling. So the motorcycle basically I would say is more or less all about my life. And this is the way how we came to this idea. Let's make something really great. And my good friend Andis, he invited me together to figure it out something great. And you know, when you open the map, there is so many destinations and many riders have done nice and crazy things. So we said we have to ride around the world. And if you measure it, it's 36,000 kilometers around the globe. And from Riga to Australia, it was the right 36,000 kilometers. So we can make it mostly on the land. It was Russia, Kazakhstan, Mongolia, and then these Indonesian countries. It took us 5 months. We got to Australia just taking the one ferry. And when we put it on the map, we find out that there is many countries in between where we're gonna meet the problems with the fuel. Countries like Mongolia might be lack of the fuel, Laos, Cambodia and so on, the quality of the fuel. That in many cases is one of the major choices which bike we chose on that time. And these bikes still got the carburetor systems and a super easy switch, so you can turn on the ignition system for a super low quality fuel. So which means that in case of something, you can just open it, clean it up yourself and be good to go. And sure, that is the lifetime expedition, and hard to figure it out something which like impress more than this trip, because there is a deserts, there is a mountains, there is jungles, so all the possible situations we experienced during this trip. After spending 5 months on your motorbike, you become more than a friend. It is really the true relationships in between you and your motorcycle. And especially the places like Mongolia, where we had a chance to meet the nomad people who are still living in a very ancient way. We enjoyed to stay with them, we learn a lot from them. And what we found in whole trip, the people are super friendly everywhere in the world, helpful and friendly. And the help we needed sometimes, because you know, when you're hitting the rocks, when you're traveling the really stony surface, your bike gets hit hard too. And then in the middle of the desert, when the storm is really blowing, you have to change the tire or put the inner tire new. So these are many challenges which you experienced as a rider in such a trips. You know, like a camel in those years, if you have a good camel, you will cross it, you will make it. Nowadays it's a motorcycle. And this, guys, is the story about how the nomad turns into the modern nomad.
But now, it's time to move on. As this bike has been sitting in a museum most of the time after the expedition, it has only 65,000 kilometers on it. Of course, it is still an old bike and might seem like unreliable and even sketchy project. But hey, they made it to Australia with these bikes, right?
Tas viss nāks nost. To mēs visu raujam nost. Kaut kādas detaļas mēs saglabāsim.
And since my paths have crossed with a very good mechanic, I should be just fine. Meet Edgars. This guy has the right attitude and extensive experience with motorbikes, both street ones and racing ones. And now we are digging in the unknown. I have no idea how much this project will cost me. We are just taking everything apart and writing down all the parts that are needed. One thing I love about working with professionals, they strive to find solutions instead of just replacing parts. For example, leaking antifreeze got fixed with 2 O-rings for 77 euro cents. Did you know that you should maintain your forks and shock every 2 or 3 years? As long as you do that, they might be kinda eternal.
We have finally got back the front forks and the rear shock. We did all the oil change, the bushing change, the seals, and everything is changed, even the springs for regulation. And now we are placing all of that back together. And next thing is fresh rear sprocket, fresh front sprocket, battery, spark plugs, oil, and all the necessary things.
Starting this project, it felt that we will have to open the engine, gearbox, and possibly spend a fortune buying all the parts. But the truth is, rebuilding the Nomad was nothing more than a regular, complete maintenance. Yep, you heard me right. The only thing extra was opening the carburetor and setting everything back as it should be. It was a surprise to all of us in how good of a shape this bike was after a trip to Australia, going through deserts and being fed with a really bad quality fuel. A lot of time was spent cleaning out some Cambodia dust and marsupial's fur. And there goes the fun part. Design. It has to be just like a nomad lifestyle, capable of blending into nature. So the job started together with our friends at Decalab, specialists in everything motorcycle design. We also decided to pay homage to the original adventures of this bike by conserving the most notable milestones of that epic journey.
So we have finally got all the design ready. So right now we are just packing everything inside, trying not to scratch anything. And then we are going to the bike and start to screw everything on. If we are lucky enough, we'll be able to give this bike a little test run today. So let's hope everything goes well.
I like to leave specific jobs to specialists, sticking the stickers, for example. But as they needed all the parts in their office, I decided to get some instructions and try my luck on doing a few stationary parts myself. Not that bad, actually. We will be replacing the tires, of course, but just after the first test runs. For now, we are leaving these old Mitas to destroy them on the asphalt.
We still have these just beautiful, marvelous turn signals for KTM. Original ones, 2006. We will give this bike a modern look. Hammer LEDs. hammer leads, made in Latvia. The main idea of these is that you shouldn't be able to destroy them. We'll see. Oh, and placing all the parts together again. That is some nice feeling to see that design and colors actually look just like I wanted. But finding the screws? And we thought that we had our bolt sorting system when we started this. Turns out we did not. But some few extra hours redoing some things, and we are all set for some serious adventures. I can finally understand all those KTM 950 and 990 fans. The power is just incredible. It is just so mean and so fluffy at the same time. The seat is like riding a limousine. Suspension is so forgiving that it feels like I can go anywhere. But when you hit the throttle, make sure you are holding tight. It is really not easy to describe the feeling of riding a new, old bike. Yep, this boy is turning 18 this year, so I will do my best to give it some party that it deserves. Full of adventures. For now, it is really hard for me to find a reason to buy a new and modern motorcycle. I'm really enjoying the lack of ABS, traction control, and even navigation. Just my bike, speedometer, my hammock, and me.
Mr. Tambourine, I planned a song for me. It's a jingle, jingle warning, I got to follow with you.
Dublis 1, Jānis Kļaviņš, motocikli.